with the Point By Patrol, and today we're going to be installing this absolutely beautiful Eventuri intake for the Civic Type R FL5. Let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, I want to weigh all this because it doesn't weigh much. I've got 2 pounds 3 ounces on the airbox. I've got 11.8 ounces on the filter. These items are 2.3 ounces. This is 13.5 ounces. And this is 5.3 ounces, so not a lot of combined weight here, and we'll total that up just to find out what the overall weight of everything is. We can go ahead and weigh this too. Since these items will be used, that's 1.6 ounces. So either way, we got to move over here to the car. We've got a lot to remove, all of this basically. So we'll go ahead and get started on that now. All right, so here we go. We'll start with removing these guys here, 10 millimeters. Kind of set those aside and in a pile. Then we've got this 10 mil back here by the battery. All right, got that loose. Then there's this one down here next to the computer. All right, we got that. Set this to the side for a second, get this snorkel out of here. Just kind of lift up. Then there are these grommets on the side. Kind of got to push up and out on both sides. All right, and then here on the side, you just, one on each side. Hope you can see that. Just kind of lift those up. There's one in the front that you're going to have to kind of reach inside to get. This one can be a little tricky. All right. And then just start working this guy off. There we are. So that's out of the way. Just set that aside for a minute. And I'm going to start loosening these clamps. These are 5.5 millimeters. All right, so all those should be loose. Remove your MAF connector. Press the tabs away to set that to the side for now. And this air box is now loose. You pull up on it because it's held by a rubber grommet up underneath. But then we get to kind of fight the tubing off. So that came off a little bit easier than I expected there. We do need to remove this sensor here. This is a T30 Torx. There we go. Okay, so we can just set that aside and set these aside. Almost forgot, we got these plastic clips inside of here on the battery cable that connect and hold. Now it is cold out here this morning, so I can't really feel my fingers that well. I'll try to do this with a pocket screwdriver.
And of course, perfect timing for my neighbor to come outside and work on his projects and make a bunch of noise, but it is what it is. How about this? We'll make our lives a little easier and pull the airbox cover off. Just get this all out of the way. That was surprisingly dirty for 5,000 miles. There, that was kind of a pain. But out of the way now.
Okay, so I've done a few things off camera for you. I've already installed this. These aren't tight yet, but they're on here, and I've also installed this. Make sure that you install this after you push this tube through. It doesn't fit otherwise. You also have to remove the wire loom cover for the mass airflow sensor, which is kind of a pain. You gotta use a pocket screwdriver, go really slow. And they supply you with this piece of loom right here, but I'm not gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna put electrical tape on this. Another thing, I don't know why Honda does this, it drives me insane. I guess just because they don't want you touching these. So they cut the heads off, but a little tip here, you can grab them with pliers and just slowly, see how it's turning? You can work this loose because this has got to come off in order to complete the job. So I will go through this arduous task off camera, not to bore you, but just to show you that there is a way to get those off without having to cut them off. And I'm also going to go ahead, wrap this up with electrical tape. I've unscrewed this, but I've not removed this yet. This will be one of the last things that I put on, as well as the other sensor here that goes in the Airstream. So I'm gonna get started on that now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you can see here that I've gotten this off, just so that you know in advance. This is not fun to get off, especially with this in the way. You really gotta kind of pry and pull and just work it, and it just takes a little while. Another thing that you have to do is pull these grommets off of the other airbox, the bottom one here and this one here. And just to show you how to do that, because you don't use this one, pull the bolt out, but then you have to work this guy out. Once you work this guy out, this will come out of the slot really easily, and then you're going to have to reinstall it like so in order for it to look like this. So I'm going to start putting this in the car, and it's probably going to take some jiggering around. I've also got to reseal the case here, but this is what it looks like on the inside. So pretty cool looking so far. And in just a few minutes we should have this in the car. All right, so this is pretty exciting. I'm done. This is it. So everything's been tightened, plugged in. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to pull it out into the sunlight here so I can get a picture, but then we're going to go for a drive. So as promised, just for the sake of comparison, I'm weighing this right now, and this is the factory air intake system. I've got the air filter inside of it. It is 6.7 pounds, so 6 pounds 7 ounces. Okay, so right now I'm just warming up the car. I'm at 156 degrees on the engine coolant temperature. I want to get that up to about 165 or more before I start repping into this thing, but there's a notable difference in how throaty it is, even just on normal acceleration, which I like. I mean, that's kind of what I was looking for when I purchased an intake for the car anyways. Another big thing that I dislike about the factory intake is that it really does a good job of masking any kind of turbo noises that you might get. And I want to hear it blow off between gears, so hopefully I get that with this intake. As far as the install goes, I think that anybody just about can attempt doing that themselves. It does take a little while, especially when you're filming, and there's some tedious things that I had to do off camera, but it's not impossible. I'd say it's probably about an hour-long install if that's all that you were working on at the time. So really not that bad. So we're up to 168 degrees now. I'm cruising here in 5th gear. And I've got, you know, the one camera on the gauge cluster, other camera on me. The car is not on the factory tune right now, so you know, don't look at the acceleration and say, wow, you know, it's accelerating that much faster on a stock tune just because of an intake system. That's simply just not the case. So we're going to see what it does here in just a minute. I'm going to kind of get out of Dodge a little bit so that I'm not running around on too many neighborhood roads here. And since we're up to temperature now, and even the oil temperature looks good, we'll be able to kind of test this thing out and see what it does. Hopefully you'll be able to hear some of the intake noises, and it's possible that you won't be able to. You'll just have to take my word for it. But you know, we'll get started here in just a sec. Even on that, I can actually hear the turbo blow off, so that's great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I want to be able to hear the turbo doing the work and get some feedback from that. And what's better with that is, if you can hear it inside the car, it's probably a little bit louder outside the car. And one of my favorite things to do on track, especially if I'm able to pass somebody, is to shift gears. You know, we all have our windows down, but I do like to shift the gears right when I'm next to their window, just to kind of, you know, poke them a little bit. So it's a little track fun. So the road I'm on right now is kind of curvy, so it's not very good for, you know, straight line pulls, but I am getting to a road that's fairly straight where I can take 3rd gear at least to red line. I don't think I'll be able to do 4th gear. It's a little bit more difficult. It requires quite a bit of room. You know, you're topping out at 4th gear at roughly 115 miles an hour before you have to shift to 5th gear. I'd say that did the trick, and the sound is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, if I was able to have the windows open right now instead of needing to make sure that it's a fairly quiet environment so that I can talk to you, I bet I'd hear even more. And I'll probably do that once I turn these cameras off so that I can actually get a good indication of what I'm hearing outside of the car as well. But just to kind of conclude the video, I can say that the Eventuri intake it's really of the highest quality. The carbon fiber is absolutely beautiful. The installation is fairly straightforward. Yes, you do run into a couple things where, you know, kind of makes your fingers want to bleed a little bit, but you know, I'm incredibly happy with the way that it looks. I'm very happy with the way that it sounds and the way that it performs. So if this is something that you're considering for your car, I hope this video helps you make that decision. I know that there are a couple other intakes out there, like the Group M intake, the Blitz intake, and those are slightly different designs. But I chose this one for the larger airbox. It doesn't have the secondary scoops or anything like that, but with the Group M, I believe it's the Group M, I didn't like the red inlay that they had. Just a little bit too racy for me. And with the Blitz, I believe that has the same kind of style, same kind of red inlays, and it's ultimately just not for me. This one's just a little bit more subtle. I like the way that it sounds, and it looks really great when you pop the hood. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to get back to beating the shit out of my car, and we'll see you next time.